Menaker. So I have Will. How are you, Will?
I'm doing great. Kicking off it's always that awkward thing. How do I start? Oh, I'm talking now. I have to start saying something, so it's good to have a little patter prepared.
It's your job. I mean, you do that. But
yeah, I'm the point guard, the leadoff hitter, the quarterback, the leader, the one that's better than the rest of my co-hosts. Whatever you want to say, I'm that guy.
I feel weird doing it, because I haven't done it in a very long. I never did it on Street Fight ever. So I on most of the shows I host are bonus shows, and I just start it by saying you're on Patreon. I don't need to fucking tell you what you're listening to.
Starting a podcast, it's that same level of awkwardness where if you're being filmed or on television and you don't know what to do with your hands, like the Ricky Bobby thing. It's like starting a podcast feels the same way. I don't know what to do with my hands. I don't know what words to say to kick things off.
You guys have been. Oh, go.
No, I was gonna say, but I will say it is great to be with you here now, back on Street Fight.
It is. I love having you on here, but I always wait because I don't want to be hey, let's have Will on every month because I feel like we'd burn it out. But it's the most fun show. I mean, they're so fucking fun, these shows, and we've been doing them for now we've probably been doing them for at least 4 years.
Yeah, this is where the magic all started for me, at least. And actually, I have a sort of a special way to kick off our episode here. I am broadcasting to you live from a special, secret, undisclosed location that I'm going to disclose right now. It's just Virgil's apartment. I'm at Virgil's apartment. I'm here all alone. I'm here by myself. We just recorded Chapo. They have gone out to eat and do their thing. I'm sticking behind, and I'm doing this because I just moved and I don't have the internet of my new space yet. So I'm piggybacking Virgil's internet to broadcast with you here tonight. But Virgil has another little treat. You can see me on the video, right?
I can't. We both have our video.
All right. Well, again, the listeners won't, so I don't know why I even brought that up. But I have Virgil has some Whippets here.
Oh, hell yeah!
He's got some nitrous, so he's got the cool device for doing them. And I think I'm just going to start off the show by doing a Whippet.
Those are
on Street Fight. It seems like a very Street Fight thing to do. I have not done these in since 9th grade, probably. But
yeah, do it.
We're gonna do a little experiment, but I want to consult with you. What should I say in the funny voice when I'm done?
You think you'll remember it when you?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh man, I don't know what to say. Something like fuck. I'm trying to think. Now
I'll come up with something. I'll come up with something.
You just say something.
Okay, here we go. Street Fight Whippet, take one.
I haven't done Whippets since I was a teen. And when I did them, I ran my head through a fan. So not like a fan of the show, but.
Hi, Joker. I am in a world of shit.
God, are you feeling pretty good right now? It's so hard to.
Yeah.
I'm getting
the feel, the sort of the head feel. Yeah, there it goes.
Oh. Woo! Those things are fucking crazy, man.
Yeah.
we have this they're from Cleveland. They're a pro wrestling tag team that listens to the show and does it sometimes. And they drove here to do the call-in show one night, and they had Whippets, and they were just not even really smoking weed or anything, just fucking doing Whippets.
Well, I've warned Virgil, not to get too into them because I was like, hey, they're fun and everything, but you don't want to end up like Steve-O, Yeah. Steve-O went a little too hard into the Whippets, and look what happened to him.
I know people. I've actually knew people that were super into they would always have a tank in their car. They would drive around with a nitrous tank.
Not so they could do Fast and Furious type shit, just so that they could get nosed up at the just sitting at a stoplight.
Yeah, it's like fish people are really really into it.
That's like the hippie mafia, right? Like that was their whole
Yes.
thing, was just selling balloons at festivals and shit like that. And I never knew that was such a big. It's a weird subculture, but it is all among jam band shit, right?
Yeah. Brett and I just went and saw Ween recently, which is kind of in that world.
Mm-hmm.
Like somebody gave us free tickets, and like people always make fun of Fish and stuff like that, but like Ween is different, obviously. But fuck, man, like, you know, you guys do live shows.
Yeah.
Like the whole time we were there, the entire time, everybody in that place was standing up and looking right at the fucking stage. And it was just like, God damn, to have that kind of attention.
Yeah, I was aware of Fish before I went to college, but I really had to go to college to like learn about the whole jam band phenomenon, because it was a thing that I had no exposure to growing up in New York at all.
There can't be a lot of jam band.
Yeah,
Actually, they do a huge show there, though, don't they? On like New Year's every year.
Fish?
Yeah.
I thought that was the Allman Brothers. I don't know. They did. No, they do the Beacon. Anyway, I'm sure they do shows in New York, but it's just like among high school kids, that was like just not like a thing that people were into. And then I got to college and found out about all these other, you know, the string cheese incidences, the Moes, the all kinds of, you know, and, you know, I could never really get into it because like, I want songs to be like 3 minutes tops, you know?
Yeah.
I don't want a 20-minute, you know, like mandolin solo in the middle of a song, you know?
We get like we were just talking about this recently on the call-in show, and there's this like leftist black metal group that just released like an anti-Nazi album, which they're actually going to be on the show soon. Brett's going to interview them, but like they released like this like anti-Nazi album that was like I can't remember the name, I can't do it, but we were talking about how like I can't listen to black metal because like I can't listen to any music without a hook and a chorus. I was never like that in fucking college, or I was never like that in high school. And I wasn't like that after I got out. But basically, you're right, like 2.5 to 3 minutes. And if it's got guitars, it has to have like a catchy hook, you know?
The Rolling Stones, Can't You Hear Me Knocking? Like that's pushing it, but I can still fuck with that.
Yeah, yeah. I went through a Mars Volta phase, though, which is like pretty jam bandish. But I think what fucked it up was I saw them live and they seemed like huge chodes on stage. It was like get mad at the audience. If the audience started getting rowdy, they'd be like, well, this isn't music to mosh to, okay? It's like,
how do you get mad at people for being too enthusiastic at one of your shows?
Well, I'll tell you this story. You know who David Allan Coe is?
Oh, of course. Classic racist country music.
Well, my wife was
some great songs and racism being done by David Allan Coe.
He did have like a lot of huge hits, but he did also have the racist songs, which makes it kind of uncomfortable to be into him, I guess. But he sings the kind of country music that I like. Like it's hard for not racist, but like the honky tonk type.
Yeah.
And we went to go see him for my wife's birthday one year because she was she was like really into him when she was in high school. Like, and he fucking was like playing this song. He covered Uncle Cracker, which I thought was like a really weird fucking experience. But this fucking like everybody in the VIP section in the front rows, they were like fucking sitting down. They were all in a biker gang. They were all wearing like biker cuts, which that doesn't mean they're in a gang. That could mean they're like doing cosplay too, like the Sons of Anarchy fans or like dads. Yeah. But there was just one other person. There was a real nerdy couple. One of those, like, you know, those nerdy guys that are like really, really into blues and like country music. And they fucking got up and he started playing a song. They got up and started dancing together in the VIP section. And he fucking stopped the show and told them, this ain't music to dance to. I'm a singer songwriter. I don't make dance music. You need to sit down. And he made him sit back down.
That must have been crushing to experience that.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was funny to me because it was just a really like it was so fucking weird that somebody would even like get that mad. Like, I'm so excited to get a fucking reaction at all when I'm standing on stage. So for him to be like so fucking jaded that pissed him off. He also fucking like sucked, and he only played like half of every song and then quit before the end.
Speaking of our favorite subject, the Sons of Anarchy and the Sons of Anarchy Rebel Motorcycle Club, Redwood Original. I did see a very funny thing on my new block this week, and I thought of you.
What?
I saw a guy. It was a car that had a decal on the back window that was the Sons of Anarchy, the classic Reaper logo, but it said like New York chapter. And I was like, well, this is really stretching it, you know. There was never any New York, chapter of the Sons of Anarchy on the show. But this guy is just like, yep, no, I'm repping the Sons, Sam Crow here on the East Coast on the back of my, Honda SUV. And then he got out of the car and he had a shirt. He was wearing a T-shirt that, like, in old English letters, like that affliction shit on the front, just said something like, fuck. I forget exactly what it was, but I think it said abusers get no respect.
Those guys.
I loved him coming out of his Sons of Anarchy minivan and just like, putting that message out into the world. Like, hey, I'm a tough guy, but abusers, no.
Yeah, no, the Sons of Anarchy didn't abuse at all. They never did anything wrong.
They never did anything bad. They were the good guys. They were unjustly persecuted.
Do you remember how fucking like that last season? Like Jax was legitimate, like probably killed at least 40 people for no fucking reason at all.
I remember on like, I think maybe it was even the second to last season, or maybe it was the last season, the pilot episode. And this was when the show was like really running on fumes. And I think this episode may have been like jumped the shark even more than the Ireland plotline in season 3. So it begins where it's just like, things are going on in Charming or whatever, and Jax is like motorcycling around town, and he keeps seeing this like kid that you've never seen before, this like, blonde looking lonely kid, and you're like, well, what the hell's going on here? Is this going to pay off? And then at the end of the episode, like the kid takes one of Sam Crow's like Tech 9s that his like junkie mother stole from one of their warehouses, walks into his school and blows away like 15 kids. So the show, like the pilot episode, that's where it's setting the stakes up. Like, they're responsible for a school shooting.
Yeah. That show, the Mayans starts in September.
Coming soon. I got to come back on for that, man. We got to do the pilot episode of that for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I'm so excited for there to be like new Sam Crow lore.
Oh, I need the Sutter Verse. We need to return to the Sutter Verse.
What has he been doing? Like, it's been so long since I've seen anything of his.
There was the Bastard Executioner, which was, not a hit. To put it lightly, that was sort of a disaster, where he was like, yeah, I'm going to do a show set in the Middle Ages, but with all the same shit that I'm normally into. So yeah, that was a disaster. And I'm sure like it cost like $1 zillion to make. But he's a fighter. You get knocked down, you get back up again. And he's just like, I'm going back to what people love. I'm going back to the world of motorcycle gangs.
Yeah,
but this time it's about the Mexican gang. So it's like maybe he's trying to atone a little bit for the sort of white male criminal fantasy that he helped inculcate with Sons of Anarchy.
There's going to be so many of those same white dudes walking around with Mayans. They're all going to join the Mayans now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like. The thing that Brett and I have noticed is that like there was a period where it was like Minion shirts and like The Walking Dead, Sons of Anarchy and shit like that. And now that's all been completely replaced by Deadpool. He is like, there is so much fucking Deadpool streetwear and like custom clothes and everywhere we go.
The Deadpool like New Era fitted, Did you see the Marvel Infinity War New Era special edition?
No, I didn't.
It was a gold hat that had like different colored gems on each one of like the panels. You know what I mean?
Oh my God.
It was cool. I copped 10 just so I could have them fresh all the time.
I mean, there are so many people just wearing Marvel clothes, but I think Deadpool's different from like they're like the people that wear Deadpool clothes seem cool, like in a way. So it's like I can't believe how much of it they sell now though, and how like people will just have pants with like Deadpool over and over again, like a Deadpool pattern on them.
Well, Deadpool he's the Joker of the Marvel universe. You know, that like Marvel has lapped DC in terms of its pop culture cachet and money and movies and everything. But the one thing they're lacking is that there's no Joker. You know, and the Joker is like, that's what's keeping DC hanging on, is the possibility of more Joker. And Deadpool is really like Marvel's Joker. He's the twisted one. He sort of pierces the fourth wall, and he kind of he's not afraid to take comic book culture, you know, down a peg or two.
Yeah.
I think it was on Cumtown recently. They were talking about how someone who was in recovery said the Joker is very important to the sober community. And there's all of these, like, we started looking at all of these like sobriety memes that feature the Heath Ledger Joker, where it's like, you know, be an alcoholic for 20 years and no one bats an eye. Tell people you're sober, and it's like the world has gone insane. You know, because it's like I think they feel like, and I was trying to figure out like, what is it about the Joker that like resonates so much with people in recovery? And I just think like, I don't know. Like they feel they have that twisted figure, that you know, that sardonic twisted figure inside of them that like now that like they're not drinking anymore, they're more aware of maybe, or it's, I don't know. Their twistedness needs to find some expression in ways other than drinking or drugs, I guess.
Yeah, and you know, the other weird thing is that they're really into. This is just something I just noticed. It may have been going on forever, but Marilyn Monroe with tattoos is something that you see on a lot of those. Like keep the plug in the jug is the page I go to for rehab means, but it'll be like Marilyn Monroe with tattoos and be like, we all make mistakes sometimes, but those are what makes us the most powerful or beautiful.
Well, it is because Marilyn Monroe obviously, you know, died because of drugs. So is this a reminder to them? Do you think the Marilyn Monroe? Yeah.
If she hadn't died, she would have definitely got a bunch of tattoos. That's for sure. But I like I love those like rehab memes. I'll look through those quite a bit. I don't do the like going and finding stuff on Facebook anymore because the algorithm fucked my news feed up. Like my news feed is all.
Oh, like, really? So like when Zuckerberg announced, like, you know, we're cleaning up our act, we're making it so our algorithm will not show you like the dumbest, most mind destroying bile and garbage imaginable. That really fucked up your Facebook feed, didn't it?
Well, that's part of it, but the other thing is listeners finding me on Facebook, and then
okay.
So it just is like, you're a leftist, you can't hide it, you know. But like I still can see stuff if I like, but a lot of those pages did disappear. A lot of the like arrest Obama for treason now, which was one that I loved.
Yeah, that's good. God, what were some other really good ones of those Facebook groups you would always find?
The Australian Tea Party was
Australian Tea Party. That was the classic one. They were irate that they thought Subway was adopting halal standards in Australia.
Yeah, they would fucking be. Well, one Subway did, and they would be so fucking mad about it, like every day, all day. It was so fucking weird. I'm looking to see, and I haven't seen this in a long time on my feed, but for the comical conservative.
Comical conservative. Let me ask you this: have you? This is like do you follow conservative grandpa on Instagram?
No, I need to do that.
Are you familiar with? Okay, like see if you can look it up right now. It's one of these things where like either it could be a bit that someone's doing that's like a parody of like a really shittily done like conservative like sort of newspaper comic strip, or it could be the genuine article. I sort of don't really care because I think it's hilarious either way. And it's just like these single panel comics featuring basically clip art, you know, like there's like the same crudely drawn figures sort of copied and pasted in different ways, but it'll just be like the conservative grandpa, like there's no punchlines. There's sort of like sometimes there's plots about how his friend becomes Antifa and then is rehabilitated by him, but it'll just be single panels with the conservative grandpa just saying things like, the left is out to silence and intimidate their opponents. Support Donald Trump, our great president. Like, and that's it.
I mean, I have a lot of conservative grandpas like in my family right now. Okay, I'm looking at it. I can't tell. I mean, I'm gonna have to follow this for a while to figure out if it's real. Like, Democrat mayors prevent the police from arresting violent left-wing Antifa thugs. Vote Republican.
He's really into like Antifa stuff, really afraid of a violent left-wing thugs. There's a hamster in some of them, but again, it's not drawn. It's just like a photo of a hamster that he's copied and pasted and added some text to.
This one looks so fucking real. This one is one that makes me think it's real because he says, I believe in country over party. That's why I vote Republican. There's not like a joke there. And
there's
like
another one that's I'm looking at one right now. It's again a figure that I'm sure this person didn't draw because that's a completely different illustrative style than everything else there. It's basically a drawing of a guy in a wheel who's sort of sitting in a wheelchair with like a black fedora on, and then there's just a giant text bubble that says LeBron James isn't very bright.
Yeah,
and that's it. And again, like I'm just trying to imagine if you could come across this and then immediately pick it up and get it and relate to it, like how utterly stewed in conservative media your brain must be to like, I mean, that's probably why I get it. You know, I expose myself to this shit on a regular basis. But,
yeah. My father-in-law just moved back this year and he was in Florida in the biggest retirement community in the
was
country.
He in the Villages?
Yeah, he was in the Villages.
Oh, we did an episode about the Villages.
And he came back like fucking crazy conservative. Like he came back and he was like using the N-word like, in conversations with me. And when he left, he had voted for Obama. I think he voted for Obama twice. And then he came back and he is just like, he voted for Obama twice. And the thing that he said when he came back that fucking blew my mind beyond like any of the other stuff was that like, he was like, started talking about something. And then he was like, I mean, who even really knows if he was born here? You know?
No, we did an episode of the Villages because there was a big article in Politico that was like basically this very long, very well reported piece. It was just basically a portrait of this just surreal community in Florida. It's like a city. It's huge, but it's also like a gated retirement community. And the bubble, to use a dumb cliche that we hear all the time now, that these people live in is staggering. And they talk to these people who are like, you know, basically they never have to leave the compound. They get everything catered to them. But like this one guy was like, yeah, you know, I never leave my house or get in my car without my, you know, Beretta Glock, and like, you know, he goes everywhere armed because he's like, yeah, it's really dangerous out there. And they think that Antifa is going to come, like, you know, kick down their door any second. And I just think it's because it's like, it's obviously because it's, you know, they're brought up in and exposed to a insane, paranoid, reactionary worldview. But also I think it's just a way of entertaining yourself when you're old, you know? It's a way of keeping your mind active instead of just completely atrophying, is inventing these elaborate and ridiculous scenarios and trying to prepare for them.
That's true. I mean, I was so shocked with how much he changed as a person when he got back here from there. Like I couldn't fucking believe that like he went from where he was when he lived here and had to talk to normal people, but you don't. Like all they talk to is other people in that place. And all of them watch Fox News all day. They never stop.
100% just like MAGA, Donald Trump, make America, you know, just 100% on board. They love Trump. They like him, nothing better than to see Trump on the TV and, you know, talk about how he's, you know, fighting the evil people.
Right. It's just, like the stuff I see about that, the stuff I see, because that's what I was trying to figure out yesterday, right? Like, so yesterday this news came out that Trump is basically, the EPA is like, use all the asbestos you want.
Do you remember Trump had a quote a long time ago, like well before he was president, that was lamenting that 9/11 happened, or like the Twin Towers burned so quickly because there wasn't enough asbestos in them?
Oh my God.
Yeah, this guy, he loves asbestos because he's a crooked real estate guy in New York.
Yeah.
So he thinks asbestos is like like magical, and he probably thinks the fact that it causes cancer or whatever is a lie, or it's just whiny environmentalists making it up or something.
Well, he hears about it from the worst fucking like person, like contractors who can't use asbestos anymore.
Yeah, well, the mob in New York, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. So yesterday here, I don't know if you've been. I don't even think you would be following this, but did you hear about the Ohio 12th district election yesterday that people are freaking out about?
No. Tell me. I'm sure Virgil would know, but fill me in. There
was a special election to replace Pat Tiberi's seat, wherever that is. I don't know. But there was a special election, and it was a Republican versus a Democrat. And I believe that they have to do this election again in November. This is just a temporary stopgap before the actual election. And the Republican won, of course, because it was like it was like a weird district drawn around the suburbs of Columbus. And then it comes right into the city for like a second, for probably 20 miles. So basically what they did was they drew the district to have a little piece of the city so that the city can't all be together, and then the suburbs on the outside. And I got up today and there were these comedians like fired up about the fucking Green Party taking votes, and that was what cost the Democrats the election.
Oh, right. Yeah. No, it's like you. I woke up this morning and I saw all these people being like, Green Party, you really enough. You can't keep doing this, And I was like, what the fuck are they talking about? The election was like a year ago. But no,
they're still talking about
60 people voted for the Green Party in this Ohio special election, and that's why the Republican won.
Yeah, a bunch of wacky grammar.
Right. Yeah.
That fucking the Republican one, not like the way the district's drawn. It doesn't have anything to do with it. The way the district was drawn by Republicans, so Republicans could win. It's like when the whole fucking system is that fucked, where basically they just negate urban votes. So that because that's all that was they the way Columbus is drawn is it's like a bunch, the inside of the city is a bunch of different congressional districts, and then they're all connected to the rural and the suburbs. And the thing about it is I can get being like, oh, it's poor white hillbillies that are voting for Donald Trump. But the line of this district is upper middle class people, middle class and upper middle class people that own businesses and moved out of the city and live in the exurbs. Mm-hmm. It's so fucking frustrating that those people get to be like Trump people without getting yelled at all. It doesn't feel
yeah, exactly. And whatever, the stereotypical, poor or rural white trash person who loves Donald Trump and hates liberals. It's like, are they reachable if someone had a political campaign that, spoke to an economic populism or their material concerns? I don't know. Maybe some of them are, but the point is someone like that would be way more likely to vote for a good socialist or left-wing candidate than any one of these suburban Republicans are. And the Democrats' whole strategy right now is trying to take away like the decent Republicans. That's what they tried in 2016. They're like, we're going to get the good, moderate suburban Republicans who are like middle and upper class. And I'm like, dude, that is such a loser. You're never going to shake those people out of the Republican Party. Ever.
It's impossible. Yes,
it's impossible. Yeah, I know they tried it in 2016, and they're going to try as hard as possible to do it again because the alternative, which is running candidates or on a platform of economic redistribution or material concerns, they're not going to do.
I mean, like I saw last week that like Kamala Harris was like, your rent shouldn't be more than 30% of your income, and we'll give a tax cut to pay for that 30%. And I was like, just imagine if they just gave you like anything above that 30% every fucking month.
Exactly, because this is what the Democrats do. This is what all they have to offer people. All they have to offer the people who vote for them, or people who are hurting or could use help, whether it be for job or healthcare or anything like that. All these obvious things. They can't just they can never just be like, make it easy or just give people what they're asking for, which is like, let's say, for instance, a national healthcare system. They can never do that. Like, all they can offer to assuage these terrible problems created by capitalism in people's everyday lives is like, a tax credit, or just something where you have to like, fill out forms and keep track of every, all your, save all your receipts and then add them into this chart and then tally up column Y. And they just like, they make it as annoying, and like literally the only people who have the wherewithal or enjoy filling out forms are the people who create these fucking policies. And like, nobody, like, it doesn't mean anything to anyone else. Like, yeah, exactly. Just give the people what they want. You could just give people healthcare or money to pay their rent.
Well,
why the fuck? Why is it always? It's always about taxes. You always have to get it back through some sort of tax credit or whatever. Fucking doing taxes sucks.
Thinking about taxes sucks.
Like what?
Like thinking about them sucks.
Oh,
like even just I don't want you bringing them up. Like you could fucking do anything else.
I know people complain about taxes all the time, and like that's the big thing. Oh, it'd be nice to have single payer healthcare, but taxes, we gotta raise people's taxes. Nobody wants to pay taxes. That's the big line. And I honestly think most people would be fine paying more taxes if instead of doing your taxes, you just got like an email from the government being like, hey, this is what you owe us for this year. Just click this box to pay it. Or set up a payment plan. It's the figuring everything out. It's the tallying up everything you've done and keeping track of it and all the deductions and all the fucking forms. Like that's what people hate about taxes. Or at least that's what I hate about taxes.
Well, they make me feel like I'm getting ripped off, and they always have, like from the beginning. It's like I feel like there's a right way to fill out this form to get like a maximum amount of money back for a refund or pay the least amount for taxes. I don't fucking know that.
I never
and I gotta hire somebody and trust that they can do that.
Yeah. I mean, again, like if it were just easy, like again, same with voting, like it should be easier to do all this stuff, but it's not for very good reasons that I think we're all aware of.
Well, we did a story once on this show about how H&R Block actually lobbies to make the taxes more difficult.
Oh, yeah.
Like all these lobbies, like TurboTax and stuff like that. They're the ones that spend a bunch of money and are like, let's not simplify this stuff. Then we don't get to make any money. But the other thing that happens is the Republicans like do give money when they have power. Like they figure out a way that like, cause like earlier, like right after that tax bill came out, all the businesses in the countries handed out fucking $1,000 bonuses and shit and said, this is because of our new tax windfall. It's like, they put that money like in all these people's hands. And of course they're like, yeah, Trump like is, Trump got me $1,000. It doesn't matter how fucking ripped off you're getting. If somebody hands you $1,000, you're going to fucking like them.
Right. Or like, why is it so hard to like again, back to the issue of Medicare for all, which I guess is becoming more of a thing, or a possibility at least as a political issue. The knock on it is like, hey, people want it, but you're going to have to raise their taxes, and nobody wants to pay the taxes. Like, how hard would it be to make the argument that, like, yeah, your taxes are going to be raised to pay for this, but you'll be paying far less in deductibles and health insurance, that you'll be gaining money. Like, why not pay a little bit more in taxes so that you don't have to pay $4,000 for healthcare?
Right.
That seems like, that seems pretty obvious to me. I mean, I don't know. Like, it's just the idea of taxes. It's like, that's my money that the government's taking. Whereas all of them, like, health insurance is so stupid. It is so stupid. Yeah. I don't get it at all. Like, and it's so goddamn expensive for something that most people don't use or don't want to use or wish they didn't have to begin with. People just want to see the doctor. Like, people just want to be taken care of when they're sick.
Yeah, absolutely. But like, it's so hard to even convince somebody. Like, if you talk to a conservative type person here, it's like, no, you would like just go to the doctor and get taken care of. You wouldn't be like filling out a ton of forms or anything like that. It would be so much fucking easier to not have to just do universal health care. And like, the Democrats do that thing a lot of times too, where they're like, how are we going to replace those jobs? And I'm like, we can't not ever do anything about anything, because jobs will be gone. We need to, or exactly like the money question. It's never a question that's asked when like the shoe is on the other foot of like, oh, let's just start a war. Like, nobody asks like, well, how are we going to pay for it? Or if we're going to like, put some other industry out of work, or just, kill every union in the country. Nobody asks, oh, well, where are those jobs going to go? Yeah, it's only in these like very specific circumstances where it where it's an excuse for not doing something good. There's always money for the
trillions of dollars for fucking war in the Pentagon or whatever.
Right. There's always money to keep the DEA running.
Yeah. Like I'm thinking back to like the lead up to the Iraq war, a question never debated on television at all ever was, where's all the money for this going to come from?
Yeah.
It was just sort of assumed, like, as written, we've authorized all this money. It's in the budget,
Yeah. Nobody said they're going to have to raise our taxes so that we can go to this war. Like,
they didn't raise the taxes. They just spent it. They just spent the fucking money, which is what they can and should do, but just for different priorities.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. They are like, the whole thing is set up for like punishment. It's all fucking punishment. Like, if there's punishment to be doled out, the government can do it, and people can't figure out why people fucking hate the government.
Yeah.
Why don't people trust the government to do things? And I'm like, because the only thing the fucking government does is punish people. That's it.
I just sort of was like, health insurance or taxes or like all of these things in the sort of neoliberal dystopia is like all about, think of the Obamacare website where you're like, it's really neat. You can like, compare all these different plans and like, shop within your network. And, it's like supposed to be great for consumers or whatever. And it's just like, I really think like the people who come up with these policies can't conceive of a person who's like, I don't want to do that shit. That's boring. That's boring. Fuck that. I just want to like, I'll pay more, but like, I just use it's like a tax on my time. I'll pay a little extra if I don't have to think about this bullshit. You know what I mean?
You're exactly right too. That like, there can't be like a wide support. Like, there's not a bunch of people that like to fill out forms. It's just all the people that are in power don't mind filling out forms.
They love it because they're all like psychopathic dorks who like, think, saving a few $100s on their taxes is like a big achievement, or they like don't understand. They just can't understand why, everyone should be saving for their retirement, and like, just all this like, everyone has to be their own personal money manager and shit. And it's just like, I'd take less money if the money I did have, went further, or I just was able to get the things that you need to have a life. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they could hand it out, and there's so much.
Oh, they could hand it out 10 times over to every single fucking person in this country.
Well, it feels like the Democrats are actually, I mean, they've gotten to the point where they seem against like giving any money to anybody. To me, like the vibe I get from them often is that like they think they have failed if they have to give people money, which they've just been. I mean, they haven't been bullied in, but Republicans have kind of rhetorically like backed them into this weird corner where they can't say, we're just going to give people money, because if they fucking did that, they would win every time. Like, I don't know like what the thing is, because Republicans will buy your fucking vote, but it doesn't seem like the Democrats are willing to pay for your vote.
I mean, I guess they think that that's like, uncouth or not what politics is about or whatever. But I think they should reach back to the great democratic machines of the early 20th century, who absolutely would buy people's votes, and were, of course, all criminals and corrupt. But it was a different kind of corruption that actually did deliver constituent services, which is not really done now. You could actually get a pothole fixed in your neighborhood, even though the guy who was, fixing it was part of like the, Irish mafia or whatever.
I'm cool with that though. I don't care if criminals are doing shit. I mean, they got to do something. At least they're helping. I never got the rap against the unions that were like, oh, they work with the mob. It's like the mob gets shit done.
Well, not real. I mean, I don't know, maybe not in New York, or at least when it comes to construction or building anything, they mostly just steal and do bad work on everything.
It feels like I guess they don't put money in people's pockets. Like,
not really. They put money in their own pockets, and they steal money from everyone else.
You're right.
Mafias are generally pretty bad, as is all organized crime. I was just thinking more in the vein of like the criminal machine politician that was, a stereotype of the early into mid 20th century and before that. It was like, oh, they were ludicrously corrupt, but it was a different model of politics that was based on, the votes of the people that you served in the community that you served. So like your corruption had some sort of social benefit, whereas I feel now, all the corruption is legal. It's all been legalized, but it's like nobody is benefiting from it, save for lobbyists and corporations, and it's just become like a complete oligarchy. Whereas like I'd prefer to bring back graft of a certain kind if it would benefit the people who actually voted for these criminals. But now people get nothing. They get nothing in return. They get or they get tax credits to buy a solar powered scooter or something like that.
Or you look at something like Kratom, that like they want to, like, they're going to take time to make something like that illegal, but not like they don't have time. Like they have all the time and resources to make things worse for people and none of it to make things better. It's fucking frustrating. But
well, I mean, you talk about Kamala Harris, but like, just the other day, like a similar line where she was talking about the ICE child detention centers and these jaw-dropping stories that came out about child rape and abuse being carried out by the guards at these facilities. Just the most unspeakable sadism, and it just horrible, like destroy this country right now as far as I'm concerned. But her response to that is like, this is an outrage, this is a human rights abuse, this must not stand. This is why I'm proposing legislation that will have greater oversight of ICE. And like, we need better oversight of ICE. We need to talk to their managers, vote for the Democrats. We are going to run the child prisons more efficiently and more humanely than the Republicans will.
Yeah.
Like that really sums up their pitch. Like that is the Democratic Party message down the line. Vote for us. We will have the well-managed, clean and rape-free child prisons where we put refugees trying to come into this country.
Yeah. Well, they don't I don't know. They don't like really believe in taking care of people from outside of these borders. Like that's something the Democrats, they don't fucking really promise at all. So they're like, I feel like they're going to make a new ICE instead of abolishing it. Like I feel like during this next election, I think there's a few things that are going to happen in the next election. And one of them, the Democrats will like either talk about reforming ICE, or they'll probably give speeches about like how not everybody in ICE is bad. It's just a few bad apples.
Yeah.
It's
yeah,
like
they'll create some new agency that ICE is absorbed into, but essentially the 50 state Gestapo dragnet that's just like pulling people out of emergency rooms and their child's graduations will essentially continue.
Yeah, and like they aren't offering like the other thing I think is going to happen is, and this is just I'm just guessing, but I think that Trump is going to beat the Democrats to the punch with legalizing weed. Like, I think he is going to take that away from them.
That would be interesting. I could see
like
it happen.
2019, he's just going to be like, we need to legalize this weed because the Democrats won't have the guts to fucking say it. I mean, there's a few that are Cory Booker has said it. And like Kamala Harris, I think.
I don't trust that motherfucker at all. No, I mean, I think they see, the momentum on this issue. Cynthia Nixon, running for governor of New York, is saying just flat out we should legalize marijuana, which is good. And then because of that, our awful Governor Cuomo has made some, gestures in the area of like medical marijuana, right? But like as far as someone in the hands of Cory Booker, I mean, this gets back to this thing that we're talking about. Like, in no fucking universe could the Democratic Party ever just be like, weed is legal now. Like, that's it. Like, it's legal. It's legal to buy it, grow it, sell it, smoke it, have fun. It's always going to be like, well, okay. It's going to, like, if you'll get a card, right? And then as long as you fill out this Excel sheet that keeps track of your marijuana use, and you keep it within a certain sine curve on this graph, you will have access to again, you can fill out your taxes at the end of the year. You can get a slight rebate for all the times you were arrested for doing it.
Yeah.
Or it's always like all the hoops that they're going to make you jump through. There's this asshole, Mark Kleiman. I don't know if you've ever seen him, but he's this like drug policy guy. He's this liberal drug policy guy who's, again, one of these remora like parasites that just circles our political parties in the consulting class. It's a great racket. You just get paid to give PowerPoint presentations and tell groups of people what they already believe to be true. You get to reaffirm that they're actually correct. And his grift is like, he's like the weed policy guy for liberals. And as a result of that, of course, his whole thing is like, weed should be legal. It's ludicrous that we're throwing people in jail for this, but also it's bad, and we should take steps to get people to stop using it. Even if when we legalize it, we need to legalize it, but we need to have a process in place that makes people very guilty for choosing to do something that's legal. And his actual policy that he's proposed is sort of you can buy your weed from the distribution store or like the stores or whatever, but you have to sort of check in and keep track of how much weed you're smoking. And he's like, if you're made to, if you're every time you buy weed, you're confronted with like, oh, I smoked an eighth last week. Like, that'll make you feel guilty and be like, ooh, maybe I'm smoking too much weed. Like, this isn't. And like, this is his whole thing is just like, again, not giving people the easy thing that just like they want done. Weed legal. It's all about, yes, no, this is a bad thing. We want to make it better. But here's about 11 or 12 pointless fucking hurdles that you have to jump through to get there, to get to like half of what you want.
Yeah. Brett and I are getting our cards on 9/11 this year.
Excellent.
It's September. So what happened here was they legalized it for medical. And there are doctors now giving cards. It's $70, and you have to renew it every 6 months.
It's stuff like that. It's just like stuff that I don't want to think about. I don't want to think about renewing stuff again, filling out more forms, having an ID card, shit like that. It's just
$140 a year tax for using weed, basically, is what it is. Because the medical thing we all fucking know is bullshit.
Oh, it's horseshit. Yeah. Again, it's another hurdle to keep you from what the obvious thing, the obvious solution that everyone wants. It's like, oh no, medical. We have to create this class of people who actually need it. And no, they don't. Like outside of like, cancer patients or things like that. Like the vast majority of people who are using medical marijuana are fucking using it because they're like, oh, I'm tired. I have anxiety. It's just like, well, fucking everyone does. That's why smoking weed is good.
Yeah. Yeah. It was like, we went to Denver and like, it was cool. We visited like a grow operation, which fucking kicked ass. Never stood around so much weed in my life, but we weren't allowed to touch like any of it.
Yeah.
Because it's against the law to give anybody weed for free. And like, it's like ruthlessly tracked. And like, you have to ask for your ID. Like every single person you talk to in a dispensary needs to see your ID. And it's like, why are you treating this like fucking dynamite? It's the most safe shit you can get. You could probably get dynamite easier.
Yeah. When we were on the West Coast, we went to a couple stores like in LA and Seattle that are just recreational stores. Like there's no card necessary. And I think I showed my ID when I walked in the door, but it was like the easiest, most civilized. It was like living in another galaxy. It was just so like nice and efficient. You walk in, you just buy what you want and just walk out of the store. It was just like it was so civilized. It was just so civilized. I was like, this is the future that we've been waiting for.
Yeah. I mean, I remember being in 6th grade and like thinking they're never going to make weed legal. And like, that's when I started smoking weed. So I went through like so many, like you probably did too, so many years where there was never even a world where weed could be possibly legal. It always seems so far out of the realm of possibility, and now it's like just happening. And like the thing I really like about it now is that they had like a lot of them had to do they had to go around the government to get it. Like no politician was willing to do it, so people had to vote for ballot initiatives to make it happen. And I fucking love that that's how it happened, because it's such a popular thing. And like when you go through an election cycle where everybody has to talk about it, I think a shitload of people's attitudes about it even changes. Where I can sit down and be like, well, guess what? You've known me. Like, I can sit down with like my mother-in-law and be like, you've known me for fucking 20 years and I've been high for every fucking minute of those 20 years.
Every family function, what do you think was getting me through it?
When all the times that I've been really fun at a party, I was high. I fucking swear. Like we're hearing like there are people. The funny thing is, like with Denver especially, is there are people that just visit there for like square reasons. And like they get high for the first time in their life, and they're like 60-year-old people getting high for the first time. And I think that's like magical to me.
Imagine being that high when you're like 60. You know what I mean? Like that stage when you're, just laughing at some bullshit, for like 20 minutes or whatever. And then just like eating a whole box of Oreos, that's beautiful.
It seems impossible to get the giggles now for me. Yeah. And like when people do it the first time, they always get the giggles. And like you get to pick, I hate that like people are going to get to pick the kind of weed they get. Like when they first do it for the first time.
Yeah, I know. Those assholes. God, yeah. The first time I got high was from like a dime bag sold in Washington Square Park that was probably sprayed with Raid or something.
Yeah, some fucking gross, like
just absolute lower than mids. Not even Reggie, just like just abominable.
20 and 8.
Yeah.
We used to buy 20 and 8 weed if it was 20 and 8. You were like, this is gonna be bad, man.
No, if it was good, you'd be like, this is that BC bud. Oh, it's that kind bud. Look, you can see the orange hairs on it, you know, and it's all such trash. Dude, Brian, it was like a couple of months ago, but you were fucking killing me. I was laughing so hard at just posting pictures of like just mids. The absolute dog shit weed, like a giant, or like in the worst rolled joint like imaginable. There's like seeds spilling out of it. It looks like it's wrapped in toilet paper, like. But just like back when you're just like in high school or whatever, like you'd show me that picture and I'd be like, wow, look at all that kind bud, man. I wish I could just smoke it all, man.
My favorite pictures are from like high times in like in the early 80s or like late 70s of like the weed of the year.
Bud of the babe of the month.
Yeah, and you just look at them and be like, that is trash fucking weed. And we used to think that the hairs on them, the colors got you higher.
Yeah. Those orange hairs, man. Yeah, you got to look at all those hairs, man. You can see yeah.
I'm writing something for my weed zine, for the weed zine this month that will probably be already done by the time. No, this airs at regular time. So I'm writing something for the weed zine this month where I'm doing like a retrospective of all the dealers that I've had.
That's such a good idea. Oh my God.
Yeah. And
that's so funny. Man, there were some real characters there. I had two separate dealers that were both named White Mike.
I had a guy named Jeremy that made me call him Frank. He wouldn't let him call me
for OPSEC reasons. You know, he was giving an alias in case, you know, you were arrested and they were like, where'd you get the weed from? And you're like, Jeremy.
And it was so fucking much harder to tap somebody's phone back then too. Like they were all my drug dealers before cell phones were freaked out that their phones were tapped. And I'm like, they weren't tapping anybody. Like your phone in suburban Columbus, Ohio, in Groveport, Ohio, selling an ounce a week is not fucking being tapped.
Oh man. I think probably my favorite guy was someone who I'd have to go to his apartment. So that's already bad already, you know, and he was a weird guy. And like, he lived there with his girlfriend, and I'd have to go there to like, just get like, you know, a dub or whatever, like haze. And of course he I don't know, I guess he liked me or whatever. So then it would always be the thing like, oh, you have to like hang out or whatever. You have to talk for a little bit. Okay. But this guy's house was like a fucking pet store. He had every fucking kind of animal living in his house. He had turtles, hamsters, salamanders, snakes, like a dozen rabbits. Like, and it smelled like fucking just unspeakable. Like every kind of animal shit imaginable in this stuffy little apartment. Just the wood chips and all the fucking and fish and everything. It was. And I, you know, yeah, and oh man,
was you always petting an animal when you got there, like always.
No, that's the fucked up thing. They weren't like animals to pet or whatever. They were just rabbits, just like in cages or just roaming about. Like they were not even interacting with him in any way. He just liked having all these fucking animals, and I guess like, you know, bizarre.
All the guys, like I recently had a guy who made me watch him play Rocket League. A lot. Like I just go over. I'm like, I'm a 40-year-old man. I'm a 13-year-old kid. You can't sit here and watch you play Rocket League the whole time. But yeah, I've had like, I had one my weed dealer in like 2011. My weed dealer freaked out. He freaked out in 2012. He'd been my weed dealer for a year and he was so good at it. He was always available and I can always go over there. And then like fucking in like August 2012, he thought the world was going to end in December. So he left. He's still not fucking back. He's still running around the fucking country because he thought the world was going to end on 2012. So like it really did the effects of the 2012 end of the world thing.
The Mayan apocalypse.
The
Yeah.
Mayan apocalypse.
It's still being felt. Yeah.
Yeah, they're reverberating through time. People thought that was goofy, but that it wasn't. I lost a weed deal. I lost him for a while, and then like I had a guy that would only sell me half eighths for a long time. So it was like, okay, well, I'm gonna have to buy weed every fucking 2 days. That's the other thing I love about like the legal states is that those the cartridges are so fucking readily available now.
Yeah.
I'm always hitting a cartridge like all day. I take them to the movies. I fucking carry them in my pocket all day. They're the fucking most amazing invention ever.
Well, I was tweeting about this the other day. I saw a tweet that was referencing a news article about how movie theater chains are like really suffering now because like a lot of things, like the experience of going to the movies is being replaced by the internet and like a home experience. People are just getting more and more sick of like group shared experiences. Even like malls are all dying now because people are just the experience is being lost out of like the sort of convenience and ease that the internet provides. So like the peg of the article was like movie theater chains want to know like what's it going to take to like get you back and get Americans going to the movies in ways that they did in like the 90s or like at the heyday of like when the box office was king. And, a lot of them are going the sort of upscale route now, like the Alamo Draft House, where there's like, big reclining seats and you can get a beer and food and there's assigned seating and like stringently enforced, like no talking. You will be ejected for any fun going on in this movie, and I was like, of course, what would it take me to get me back really going to the movies? And, I still go to the movies, but I would say number one, no commercials before the movie. I only want to see movie trailers. That's the only thing. I want to see trailers, but I don't want to see any of that like, first look with Maria Menounos. No. None of that 20, none of those like, here's my short film. It's about drinking Coke at the movies, None of that bullshit. I just want trailers. I do like assigned seating. I think that makes sense. It takes a lot of the stress out of going to a movie if you're like, oh, can I get a good seat or not? And then lastly, I was like, just let me smoke weed in the theater.
Yeah.
But I realized that now that has become sort of superfluous because, before it would always be like, okay, I'm going to see the movie. It's playing at, 110th Street at, this time. I'm going to be in my house here. I'm going to rip 3 bong loads before I go and try to time it so that like, hopefully my high hasn't completely worn off by the time that the trailers have ended, Yeah. And now we're living in a much better world where you can just vape or do edibles. And it's made that, I think that's movie theaters need to start selling weed. That's it. That's how they got to get people back is they need to become dispensaries and movie theaters at the same time. So
or just encouraging it.
Because,
like encouraging coming high or whatever, streamlining the experience. So
here's the thing, movie theaters only make money on concessions. They only break even on the movies. So they have to keep you buying that like, $15 for a soda and popcorn or whatever. Nobody likes doing it. Nobody really likes popcorn all that much. They should bring your own candy, whatever, sell drugs at the concession. And that way they can charge a high price.
Put a volcano in front of all the seats.
Yes.
Like you sit down and there's like a pumped up volcano balloon for you to just kind of hit on for the whole sort of experience.
Oh, that would be fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, I'm 24 hours is what they need to do. They might have that in New York though. Like, but I think I would love to have a 24-hour movie theater because, I mean, it's also like that it has to happen on their fucking time. And people hate when you have to work on somebody else. Like, I hate like dealing with somebody else's time. I can't watch TV shows anymore because I'm like, I just don't want to wait until next week to see it. So, like, Better Call Saul just started again, and I'm just gonna wait.
Did.
Yeah,
I got to get on that.
I'm probably just gonna wait until the season's over and binge it because I have such a hard time like keeping interest in anything. Like But I guess most of the stuff I'm watching is kind of shitty though. Like I'm watching Luke Cage, and it's like, of course that's taking forever for me to watch.
It's so boring. Oh my god, every one of those Marvel shows is poison.
Why are they so boring?
They're so bad. Like if it could conceivably be okay because they have good actors doing it, you know, like. But it's just like they do 13 episodes and like nothing happens for like the middle 10.
Yeah. They talk so much. Like there's so much fucking talking in those shows.
Like when I saw Luke Cage, I was like, I'm just like, when is he going to get like shot with a hail of bullets and just be bulletproof and just kick people's ass? Like they did that once on that show.
Yeah. Yeah. They're kind of like the Democrats. They're afraid, like the way the Democrats are afraid to give you money. They're terrified to give you action.
Oh my God. Yeah. Exactly. That is so. Yeah. The Marvel Netflix shows are the Democratic Party of TV entertainment.
Well, the only thing I like The Punisher, but like that whole fucking show.
Brian, you said you liked The Punisher, man. Like I didn't even finish it. Like I thought it was atrocious. I mean, I like John Barenthal a lot. I thought he was an excellent casting for the Punisher, but there was no fucking punishing. I thought it was going to be there was none of that. It was just about like an Edward Snowden plot line with that dude and his family, and then the whole gun control plot line. I just thought he was just going to be like killing muggers in the streets of New York or going to war with the mob or whatever. Like,
I might have just let it slide because there's more action than any of the other ones.
Well, you said you really love the pilot because like he's doing a construction job where he's pissing everyone off because he's working too hard. He's staying late to sledgehammer through fucking sheetrock.
Yeah, that's why I like those Rambo movies, because like the beginning of those movies, his job is always fucking hammering something. Yeah. And hitting things with a hammer. And that's what makes me like Rambo. That's what made me like The Punisher. But I do think the rest of I still watch all of them. It's like that same sickness that I had with Sons of Anarchy. Yeah, like I feel like I need to keep up with Marvel. And like I think I'm fucking tired of it now. Like I finally have consumed too much Marvel.
I tapped out a while ago, but I remember you had a tweet a while ago that cracked me up where when The Defenders was coming out and people were, I mean, that was dog shit too, but I never watched it, but people were like, oh, maybe this will be good. And you were like, Netflix, like it should lock The Defenders for anyone who hasn't watched all of Iron Fist, who hasn't watched every episode of Iron Fist.
I mean, that is the kind of like punishment that like you should be punished for, because I watched every episode of fucking Iron Fist because I fucking am a maniac and I feel like I need to know what's going on in Marvel, like because everybody fucking talks about Marvel and like in my life. The only people that don't fucking talk about Marvel are like my friends that are online or like, you know, like you guys I don't see running around talking about Marvel all the time, you know? But like when I'm outside of like whatever my peers and stuff, when I'm not around them anymore, fucking all people talk about is Marvel.
Really? Wow.
That's what it feels like to me. I feel like everywhere I go, they're like, you've seen the Ant-Man versus Wasp, and if you haven't seen it yet, you're like you're fucking out of the thing, you know?
I don't know. Like I find some of the movies. I thought the Ant-Man movie was good. I enjoyed it. I thought Thor Ragnarok was good. I thought that was very funny. I really liked it.
Did you like Infinity War?
No, I did not.
I didn't like it.
I thought it was dog shit. I thought it was fucking trash.
The show Struggle Session ruins it for me because they talk about how come like 20 minutes of this movie just took place in fucking Doctor Strange's house. And now that I'm noticing that like so many scenes take place in the same place.
No, the Netflix shows, that is like, it's astounding to watch them. Like they have 2 sets for like every episode. And that's it. Everything is indoors for the most part. And it's just people talking indoors.
Yeah. They're not fighting. It's like when Sons of Anarchy would get like halfway through the season.
They'll be like, well, we need to have a meeting.
Yeah.
We need a quorum on this issue.
They do 15 episodes of meetings.
Drive-bys. I want to see them go to war with the Mexican mafia.
Yeah, that's. I mean,
But Sons of Anarchy really would like it would do some of that like angsty brooding a lot, but then they would pull you back by like showing someone set on fire or castrated or
they'll put a guy's head in a fucking chili pot. Like, oh god damn it, these guys are real scamps.
They did a fire ant execution in one.
Yeah, they're just. I mean. Yeah, I wish if they're gonna go dark with these fucking movies, then I want them to fucking really go. I want them to go fucking dark. Like they're always like, we're going dark, and then it's just all that really means is like there's gonna be a lot more talking in this movie because like it's more adult. This is a more adult presentation of comic book movies. I wanted to ask. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say about Infinity War. I mean, it's like the most cliched thing to say about it at this point, but like the stupid ending where like half of them, disappear or whatever. Like when they did that, like, were they assuming anyone in the audience would be like, oh my God, I can't believe Spider-Man is dead and he's not going to be in any more Marvel movies?
Yeah.
Like I mean, it's so fucking cynical that like the characters who lived were all the like, if they had done that and at the end of that movie, like Captain America died or Iron Man died and they stuck to it and like Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. were like, that's it, I'm done with it. Like that would be cool because it would be like, it would have some weight to it. And it would be like, well, like the story matters because there are consequences for things that happen. But the fact that they ended the movie and then like all of the, tier 2 Marvel characters just disappeared is like, come on. Like Black Panther just made $1 billion for Disney. But they're like, no, the character's gone. The story's too important.
We killed Spider-Man.
Yeah, Spider-Man, he's dead. I'm sorry, kid, Spider-Man's fucking dead and he's never coming back.
My daughter didn't cry when Spider-Man died because I don't think she was expecting it to end at that time. Like they were going to come back alive. And that is the bullshit thing about it is like, yeah, they're all coming back to life. They're
all coming back to life. They're all going to be in the next 20 fucking movies. I mean, if you're Robert Downey Jr. or Chris Evans, I thought you would be begging them at this point to kill off your character. Like, haven't you made enough fucking money from these movies? You must be sick of it.
One of the bummers is that like that it's turned like I talked about this I on a third show that is going to be out fucking 100 years from now, but about how like back when I was younger on a Friday night, like 5 or 6 movies came out and you got to pick between like which of those movies you were going to see. And there would be like a romantic comedy and an action movie and a fucking sci-fi movie. And now it's always just one movie comes out and everybody goes and sees it. And it's on like 7 screens at the movie theater. And that's what everybody goes sees. And that Marvel thing, I think Marvel has been the thing now that it's like, and it seems like it's always just a fucking another Marvel movie coming out or a Star Wars. There's all the movies are Marvel and Star Wars and Pixar now.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Star Wars, I was going to say the one Star Wars movie of late that I did like was Rogue One.
I liked it too.
I thought Rogue One was really good. And I was so impressed by it because they killed everyone at the end of the movie. And I was like, well, wow, like the way they connected it to like the first Star Wars movie, it made sense because it was like, well, yeah, these people, these characters and what they did and their sacrifice like mattered.
Yeah.
Like it
everything
means
mattered.
it had consequences and like it mattered like what they did. And like these characters lived and died in this, fantasy universe, even if it is silly Star Wars shit. But like, kill. They didn't even kill Carrie Fisher, who's actually dead in The Last Jedi.
Oh, geez.
I hated that. Like you thought halfway through the movie she was going to die when they blow up her ship, but then she doesn't. And I'm like, what's the point in like? Don't you want some catharsis? Do you want something to matter here? When Harrison Ford died in that Force Awakens shit, that was lame as hell too, because he you could tell like that death was a sweet release for him. He did not want to be in that movie at all, man. He was fucking bored out of his mind. And speaking of weed, someone was telling me the other day that Harrison Ford is like a huge stoner, and I totally buy it. He's like an
earring guy.
Yeah, he's an earring guy, exactly. And he always seems chewed up in like TV interviews and press stuff.
Yeah, I saw Solo and hated it. Like, I thought it was like the fucking ugliest movie I've ever seen. One of the ugliest movies, because everything was fucking gray in that movie. And I'm like, you get to travel to all fucking different kinds of planets, and every one of them are just fucking gray or a desert.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I thank you for coming on and covering for Brett for me. It's always really fucking fun.
My pleasure. Here, can I do one more Whippet to close out the show?
Hell yeah. While you're getting your Whippet set up, you know, he's Will Menaker on Twitter, that you all know him. He's a part of the lore of this show. And he has his own show, Chapo Trap House. So listen to that. And you guys have
and also buy our book.
Buy their book.
Buy the book.
I'm gonna buy it.
August 21st in stores everywhere. Okay, here we go.
I'm gonna go to Barnes and Nobles and buy it.
Or ask your local library to stock it. That's the socially responsible socialist thing to do.
That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do that.
Want to patronize the evil conglomerates like Amazon.
I have a huge fine now at my library, so they might not give a shit.
Buy the book.
Yeah, buy his book. Thank you, Will, for doing this show. And Brett will be back at the call-in show, folks.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Street Fight. Say hi to Brett for me.
I will. And we'll have Brett on the next call-in show. There's no more guest hosts for probably a year. Bye.